Marco's Fiery Flavors menu is back. Sadly, we can't show you our fiery pepperoni pizza topped with a bold Carolina Reaper cheese blend and 2 kinds of pepperoni. But here's some sounds that'll give you the same fiery feeling. Fiery pizza. Fiery cheesy bread. Inferno bread. Sounds delicious, right? The Fiery Flavors menu is back at Marco's Pizza for a limited time. Get it while it's hot. Limited time only. Price of participation may vary. Taxes may apply. See store for details.
New York, New York, New York, come to the table. We have got to have a conversation. We have got to talk about this. Unfortunately, we don't have much time because we are already seeing some of the effects of the decision that was made this November 4th when you elected a Democrat socialist. Welcome to the Janelle King Show. I'm Janelle King, and this is Extra 106.3, and this is where we discuss kitchen table topics that are typically banned from family gatherings but are absolutely necessary in order to have a strong republic. And today's table topic is socialism according to Zohran Mamdani, because we have got to talk about this. This country is at a major crossroads, and the threat of communism and socialism has always loomed over us like a dark cloud, but I never thought that it would actually land and that it will step foot on our soil and be in our government. Not in my lifetime. And unfortunately, this whole movement is being driven by people who feel as though that they are either left behind or that they're not having the same experiences as others. And to be clear, what am I saying? I'm saying that I believe that these people are just envious of the lives of others, or either they don't understand what it takes to achieve the life that they envy. A lot of them are jealous that there are some people that may have what they think is a life that they don't deserve. They often are listening to people who pretend on social media, but are very convincing, but pretend as if they're living some extravagant life that no one else is living. And then they want it. And it goes back to the old saying that hard times make strong men, and strong men make good times, and then good times make weak men. And unfortunately, millennials, my generation, particularly our younger millennials and the Gen Zers, a lot of them being our female voters, are the driving force behind socialism as we see it today. And I believe it has a lot to do with our generation, the young millennials, being a part of that weak men produced by good times. Many of those who hate the structure of our country haven't participated in it, or are typically young people who have parents that created this life for them. People like AOC, who grew up in the suburbs and attended private schools, and Jasmine Crockett, another private school suburb, upper middle class child. And then there's Zohran Mamdani, who was raised by wealthy parents. I believe one of them was a professor at Columbia. I mean, these are people who often feel a sense of guilt because they didn't have to grow up with a struggle, and they have no idea why other people have to struggle. On one hand, you would say that it's noble, that they want to help people because you want to believe that they're doing this because they actually care. But these are the same people who won't open up their own homes to strangers or migrants, yet they think that the country should. They embody the whole get somebody else to do it mentality. And therein lies the frustration with everyone else. We appreciate that you care about people. We appreciate that you give the illusion of caring about people. But we hate that your solutions require the effort of others to fix them. If only you were taking your emotions and bottling them up into this package of compassion that you can then hand out to people on your own time. That's not to say that we don't care, but we don't want to be forced to care. And we certainly don't want to be forced to care about issues that you deeply care about, and then punished for not buying into it the way that you think we should. Here's the hard truth about freedom. Here's the part that people fail to recognize. And that's that freedom means that I get to decide what I want to care about. And whether you like it or not, it is my choice. And the Bible says that the poor will always be among you. And I believe that's because there will always be people who place more of their energy towards external threats and not enough on fixing what they have the power to change, thus living the life that they produce for themselves because of their own actions, their own decisions. And correct, you are absolutely correct. Not everyone is starting off at the same point. Not everyone is playing on the same playing field, however you want to label it. But in America, we can all change that. And I don't need the government to do it for me. In the socialist mindset, it removes personal responsibility, and they live as if consequences is some type of weird concept that was created by those administering them. They believe that we should all be happy and have lots and lots and lots of money, even if it isn't earned. But when you do your research and you actually speak with people, you realize that those who you think are truly happy, or those who say that they're truly happy, they have a variety of reasons why. And oftentimes it's not connected to anything that was handed to them, only what was earned. And what's so sad about all of this is that socialism is now in our government. It is on our soil. And is due to uneducated college voters. And yes, I said that exactly the way I wanted to say it, because we have a bunch of college educated people who have no idea why this country was formed and what it was intended to do. We have a bunch of students who are protesting more than sitting in classrooms and learning something. But then I don't even know if that would be beneficial, because then we have these professors who follow the Bernie Sanders dream and the wish to indoctrinate rather than teach the truth. Mixed with this is the emphasis on social media and how much our young people worship at the altar of selfies. And you get this weird concoction of insecure young adults who fear competition and feel everyone should win in every way simply because they were born. As if being born is all you have to do to achieve success in this world. Now we're expecting these same people to look at policies and see the danger in them, policies that on face value feel good to them and make you believe that you are helping. We want the feel good generation, a generation that feels like the only way they can accomplish something is if it feels good, if the environment is right, if the vibe check is on or off or not off. But what happens when it all backfires? You want to know what happens? These same people go back to their comfortable lives and they leave the carnage behind them. Not on my watch. Because those of us who sit down at the table, my kitchen table debaters, we have a clear understanding, and I'm going to help. Because I want you to know exactly why these policies are dangerous. So we're talking about this because Zohran dropped this video during his campaign, and it's now starting to recirculate, or I don't know, I guess it just didn't get much traction then, but when you really listen to it, you can hear the communism coming out of him. Take a listen.
Housing isn't just more expensive than ever. It's falling apart. But what's Mayor Adams doing about this? The same thing as his real estate donors. Nothing. That's why I'm announcing a plan to overhaul the mayor's office to protect tenants, bringing code enforcement under one roof and making sure that agencies are working together to hold bad landlords accountable. Starting on day one, we will expand the city's special enforcement programs, doubling fines for hazardous violations and tripling them for conditions that are immediately dangerous. And when a really bad landlord, like this guy, refuses to fix it, the city's gonna step in, make the repairs, and send them the bill. If that doesn't work, the city's taking over the building.
There you have it. There you have it. I mean, he's saying the quiet part out loud, and people still voted for him. He's already threatening to make repairs and charge the business owner now. Not repairs that you asked for, repairs that he thinks that you should make. Without understanding why these scenarios exist. But God forbid you can't pay for the repairs you didn't ask for. And then the government is coming in and taking over your privately owned apartment complex. What? And then we're talking about doing public hearings. We'll get to that. But after listening to that, it got me thinking, how many more of these demands are on the way? What exactly can we expect? So I pulled a few of his most concerning policy positions that he plans to enact in New York under his administration. And I'm going to break down what he has to say about it and give a clear explanation as to why I see these policies as major issues. So we're just getting started. Don't leave the table. You're listening to The Janelle King Show right here on Extra 106.3. We'll be right back.
Marco's Fiery Flavors menu is back. Sadly, we can't show you our fiery pepperoni pizza topped with a bold Carolina Reaper cheese blend and 2 kinds of pepperoni. But here's some sounds that'll give you the same fiery feeling. Fiery pizza. Fiery cheesy bread. Inferno bread. Sounds delicious, right? The Fiery Flavors menu is back at Marco's Pizza for a limited time. Get it while it's hot. Limited time only. Price of participation may vary. Taxes may apply. See store for details.
Buying a car shouldn't be a mystery. Hi, I'm Stacey Ellis, Vice President of the Jim Ellis Automotive Group. At Jim Ellis, we believe in complete transparency because you deserve to know exactly what you're getting. That's why we show you all the numbers, no hidden fees, no surprises. We explain every option clearly so you can make the right decision with confidence. And if you ever have questions, we have answers. Our team is here to guide you, making sure you're informed and in control every step of the way. At Jim Ellis Automotive, we don't want to sell you just any car. We want to help you buy the right car, because doing the right thing for you is what matters most to us. Experience car buying the way it should be. Honest, straightforward, and built around you. And don't forget, Jim Ellis buys cars too. It's the safe and easy way to get maximum value for your car. To get started, visit one of our 21 convenient locations across Metro Atlanta or shop online at jimellis.com. The quick, easy, and convenient way to search and compare more than 5,500 cars, trucks, and SUVs. Jim Ellis Automotive, where you can always expect the best.
Welcome back to the Janelle King Show. I'm Janelle King. This is Extra 106.3. And this is where we discuss kitchen table topics that are typically banned from family gatherings, but are absolutely necessary in order to have a strong republic. And today's table topic is socialism according to Zohran Mamdani. Now, before the break, I just gave you my brief little rant about how I feel about all of this. We just recently saw an election where Zohran was elected, and he was selected to be the next mayor of New York. The next mayor of New York. A Democrat socialist. Self-proclaimed. And now we need to examine some of his policies, because we completely missed his demand on landlords, where he was controlling landlords, basically telling them what they can and can't do. We totally missed it. So let's look at a couple of more of his policies. And I'm going to dive right in because I want to make sure I have enough time. So let's start with his city-owned grocery stores.
The cost of eggs and milk has skyrocketed. Some stores are even using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zohran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent, and will pass on those savings to you. They'll partner with small businesses and nearby farms and sell at wholesale prices.
So you heard that. Sounds great, right? The cost of food shouldn't change, and I should be able to go in and create my little budget that will never change, no matter what happens at the economy, because the government's going to give me my food and he's going to provide it for me. And this is a grocery store that doesn't care about profits, and they're just a heaven on earth. But here's a problem. And it's the classic adage, when you put all eggs into one basket, that's never a good idea. And he mentioned creating these stores by removing the burden of property taxes and rent. And he plans to use local farms in order to keep the store stocked. So in a nutshell, he wants to purposefully starve out privately owned grocery stores, which will happen. Because when you start impeding on competition and creating an uneven playing field, of course the cost of food will go down. Of course you're able to sell food at a cheaper rate when you reduce operational overhead, meaning when the cost to do business is low. So you don't have to pay rent, you don't have to pay taxes, you don't have to pay for supplies, you don't have to pay for labor and pay salaries and paychecks. Then of course the cost of the product or service will be low. You have no overhead. But the real problem isn't the business owner, it's the regulatory burdens that are placed on the owner that has to be passed off to you if you want to purchase food at a grocery store. And to make it worse, every personal grocer, every little small grocery store and privately owned grocery store is going to be impacted the most severely. They will lose everything. They will be forced to either work with the government or work for the government. They will no longer have the freedom of having their own business because large grocery stores would then shut down in New York and they would just go operate in the other 49 states without feeling the financial hit at all. They will leave all of those whom they employed behind. And then guess what? Now that you have government-owned grocery stores, those who have experience working in groceries, in a grocery store, if they can't get a job with this government city grocery store, then what happens to them? What happens to their skills? Because their transferable skills cannot be used because there are no longer any employment options available. And then there's the issue of inefficiency. Government-run programs often face bureaucratic red tape that can slow down operations and lead to waste. And when we're talking about food, you don't have time to waste. You have to keep the process of production has to be strong and fast. And unlike private businesses that must respond to these market demands, government stores aren't held by these same standards of efficiency. For example, the now closed grocery store in San Francisco that was funded by the city is struggling to compete with local businesses because the stores often have empty shelves and high prices, leading to a lack of customer interest. When the government steps in, it often lacks agility, meaning that it can't adapt to the changing consumer needs. So God forbid you want to eat something special, or God forbid we're all eating avocados, but New York can't get avocados because avocados can't grow here in our climate. And mind you, he's only using local farmers. So you best believe you're going to have a limited selection of items, no special requests. And on the other hand, there's the financial burden on taxpayers because government-funded grocery stores require ongoing funding, which can divert money from all these essential services like education and infrastructure. And we have an example in Detroit. In 2018, Detroit was they had a city-funded grocery store that ran to a deficit of over $500,000. And guess who had to pay the costs? The taxpayers. And everyone likes to believe that it's going to be the rich, but the rich are leaving. So it's going to be the middle class and the lower income people who are going to have to take this heavy burden on them. So your taxes are going to go up. And let's not even talk about quality control, because the quality of your products and services, particularly your grocery stores and a product of your food, it's not going to be high. Because customer satisfaction and the motivation to maintain a high quality of service comes through competition. But government stores, on the other hand, they don't have these incentives. And studies have shown that government-funded stores, particularly in rural areas, tend to have lower quality produce compared to their private counterparts. And lastly, but certainly not least, and I'm sure there are a ton more, but for the sake of this discussion, we can't ignore the issue of dependency. When the government provides services like grocery stores and childcare and free busing and all this other stuff that he's trying to throw in the mix, it creates this culture of reliance rather than encouraging self-sufficiency. Instead of empowering communities to support local businesses, it can undermine them. And when all of these issues begin to show up and there are no more private options, then what? I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you the advice I got from one of my mountain ladies. I love my mountain people. And I spoke to a lady who lives up there in the mountains. She said something to me. She said, you better learn how to cook over open fire. Because while the intentions behind government-funded grocery stores might be to provide access to food, the reality is that it often leads to inefficiency, financial strain on the taxpayers, and lower quality of products and services. And it's crucial to support free market solutions that encourage competition and innovation. But let's see what Zohran wants to do for small businesses. Take a look.
There's a lot of things that make New York City special. For me, it's the delis and bodegas. Habibi, could I get an egg and cheese on a roll with jalapeno?
One Zohran special coming up.
Small businesses employ nearly half of all New Yorkers in the private sector. They keep the city running. But the last 4 years have been hard. We've seen the dollar slice go extinct, storefront after storefront close, and had a mayor in Eric Adams who has ignored the struggles of small businesses. That's why, as mayor, I'm going to make it faster, easier, and cheaper for small businesses to get started and stay open. First, we're going to cut fines and fees for small businesses by 50%. Regulations are important, but small businesses have to navigate more than 6,000 of them, with far fewer resources than the big chains. That's why, as mayor, I'll appoint a mom-and-pop czar with the clear goal of making it easier to run a small business. $1,000 isn't a lot to our city government, but it can be make or break for a small business trying to get off the ground. Next, we're going to accelerate permits and applications. The mom-and-pop czar will coordinate with agencies to speed up turnaround times, cut red tape, and let New Yorkers start businesses sooner. Because you shouldn't have to fill out 24 forms and go through 7 agencies to start a barbershop. But most of all, we're putting our money where our mouth is by increasing funding for small business support programs with 500%. We're going to invest $20 million in our Business Express service teams, which pair small businesses with a city case manager that helps them navigate permits and regulations, as well as connecting them with programs that provide them with financial and legal assistance. Right now, only 3% of businesses are using these programs. We want that number to skyrocket.
Another bright idea that no one asked for. Listen, small businesses need you to remove regulation, period. Business owners know how to produce in their business. Producers know how to produce. They don't need a mom and pop liaison that's connecting them to the government so they can produce. And most small businesses don't want to stay a small business. So your attack on corporations hurts them. Not to mention, this leads right into his other plan, which is to increase the minimum wage. The plan that he thinks his little $1,000 is going to cover. He plans to raise minimum wage to $30, and he wants to do this by 2030. And he argues that with raising the cost of living, the city must lead by adopting this minimum wage plan. Currently, they're at $16.50, but according to Mamdani, his plan is to increase minimum wage over the course of a few years. So he wants to hit $20 from $16 to $16.50 to $20 by 2027. And then we're going to be at $23.50 by 2028, $27 minimum wage by 2029, and $30 by 2030. I wonder if he just picked 30 because it was 2030. He thought it sounded good. Who knows? So starting January 1st, 2031, the minimum wage will be adjusted annually based on the cost of living of productivity and increases, whichever is higher. And for all of you who are saying he can't do that, he has to go through the legislature to do that. Well, he has a plan for that too. Because he plans to work with New York City Council to pass this new minimum wage law, despite the state legislature traditionally controlling minimum wage regulations. He believes that there is a legitimate pathway for the city council to gain the authority over this issue by utilizing home rule principle, which allows local governments to enact laws within their jurisdictions. If legal challenges arise, his administration plans would collaborate with the state legislature to clarify the city's authority, potentially through new legislation that he is co-sponsoring. So he, as an assemblyman, is going to co-sponsor legislation that's going to give him more power as the mayor. What? But again, he believes that between his mom and pop liaison and his $1,000 that he's going to give every small business, that will be enough to sustain these businesses while he raises their labor costs without their input. And to be clear, a $30 minimum wage would significantly raise payroll expenses for small businesses, many who already operate with small profit margins. So this will increase over time and will lead to financial strain every time it increases, forcing some to cut back on staffing or even close their doors. So with higher wages, small businesses may become discouraged from hiring new employees, and instead of expanding their workforce, they are going to start relying on automation. Or they're going to just reduce their hours for the existing staff in order to manage costs, ultimately stifling job growth and stifling those employees who would then go and try to look for another job. And it just creates this crazy cycle of onward and downward trajectory. To offset these higher wages, small businesses will have no choice but to raise prices on their goods and services. So, the cost of their product is going to go up, which would then lead to decreased customer traffic as consumers start to look for more affordable options. And more than likely, they're going to look in other states, online. So sales, revenue, everything will decrease. And then on a long-term scale, we have the effects on entrepreneurship. Because a higher minimum wage might deter potential entrepreneurs from starting new businesses, even if they perceive that the environment is too costly or too risky. They're not going to put their investment, their hard-earned money that they have saved up to start a business, they're not going to do it. They're not going to put it into an economy that is dreadful. So there goes your innovation. There goes your economic growth as a community. But if you thought his economics was bad, let's look at his social issues. So Zohran is prioritizing the homosexual community, which isn't a shock, particularly the trans. He's particularly focusing on the trans community, which no one is shocked about because that has been the progressive way. But now it has to be a subject that is shared with all of New Yorkers, even the Islamic community who he represents, who he claims he's a part of, who is completely anti-homosexuality. However, the man that they all selected, he's going to create this initiative that he calls Delivering Care, Opportunity, and Protection to the LGBTQIA plus New Yorkers. And he plans to do this in 3 major steps. 1 is expanding and protecting gender-affirming care citywide. What is gender-affirming care? It's doctors who choose to cut off children's genitalia. It's doctors and psychologists who sit down with students and young kids and says, you know what, I know you were born a girl, but I know you think you're a boy, so I'm going to tell you that you're a boy. It's psychologists that are no longer explaining to people what body dysmorphia is. Instead, they're embracing it as if it's not a medical condition, as if it's not a mental illness, which has been leading to higher suicide rates. We're seeing mass shootings that are taking place as young people are struggling to live in a world where they're not accepted for the gender they choose to be rather than the gender that they were born with, because no one sees what they choose to be. We only see what you're born as. But no, he thinks that expanding this sick notion is somehow beneficial. Here's another step. He wants to also do this by making New York a sanctuary city for LGBTQIA plus people. And he's going to do this and maintain this and manage this through his new Office of LGBTQIA plus Affairs. Let's break down these steps a little bit. So the first step, expanding and protecting gender-affirming care citywide. What does that look like? Because he believes it is unacceptable for private institutions or private businesses, institutions, code word for private businesses, who are receiving any type of public subsidies. So if you get any type of little tax credit for being a small business, and helping to stimulate the economy, then you cannot stand up for what you believe morally. He calls that abandoning young trans New Yorkers in favor of political agendas. So now your faith is now a political agenda. And the Mamdani administration will now invest $65 million. Now, mind you, there's a whole other $87 million that we're going to talk about later. But now we have another set of another pot of money that he wants to invest $65 million into public providers to ensure that all New Yorkers who seek this care has access to it. Specifically, he wants to allocate $57 million to public hospitals, community clinics, federally qualified health centers, and nonprofits that provide gender-affirming care. As if these people are not getting enough money by performing these Frankenstein surgeries, we're going to give them more money. On top of that, he wants to direct $8 million towards initiatives to develop a virtual or telehealth option for gender-affirming care, to include gender-affirming care in New York Health plus hospitals virtual care. He wants to establish a city-based access hub to guide individuals to appropriate providers, provide aftercare after you have your surgery, home health support. So now where you get your own doctor in your home. I mean, and housing for these people. This is what he's going to use your tax dollars to do. While everyone is out here screaming about healthcare, while the Democrats are shutting the government down for the longest it's ever been shut down in the history of America, claiming it's because of healthcare when it really was about winning an election. So now we have all these people saying that the Democrats and progressives saying, oh my God, healthcare is such a major issue. Oh my God, healthcare, healthcare, healthcare. But when he has a decision, when he is in position to actually do something about healthcare, he decides to put all this money towards the healthcare of transgender individuals. Your tax dollars. And he plans to do this all while holding private hospital systems accountable for denying gender-affirming care. Now, how is he going to hold them accountable? If these hospitals refuse to provide care, he claims that they are violating the New York State Constitution. If you are a hospital, a private hospital system, and you refuse to give a child testosterone, to give a child surgery where you are removing their genitalia, you are now breaking or in violation of the New York State Constitution. Now, what part of the Constitution? Who knows? But as a result, if you do these things, he is going to work with the Attorney General as well as the district attorneys to investigate your business and conduct public hearings on these violations. So for my Game of Thrones fans, remember when the Queen Mother had to walk through the street and everyone was just screaming, shame, shame. Well, it's a little bit worse than that, but that's probably where we're starting. But I personally feel like we're going to end up at public floggings for not doing what he thinks you should do. But if that wasn't enough, the next point, he wants to make New York City a sanctuary city for the LGBTQ community. Yep. He wants to ensure the privacy and the security of LGBTQ individuals by preventing and the sharing of private information related to their sex, gender, assigned at birth, or healthcare with their jurisdictions. I think it sounds actually absolutely ridiculous to refer to gender as assigned at birth. You're assigned by who? If you're talking about it was assigned by God, yeah. But if you're acting like the doctor somehow delivered you, slapped the fanny, and then said, "Oh, I'm gonna just say that this is a girl." I mean, these people have mental illnesses, and now they're running government. He wants to strengthen protections against the criminalization of gender-affirming care for individuals traveling from out of state, as well as for New York healthcare providers offering out-of-state gender affirming care. So basically, if you're coming from a red state that's like, no, we're not going to chop off kids' genitalia, you can go to New York and get it done, and then they're going to take care of you. Now, how is he going to pay for all of this? Oh, that's great. Through his Office of LGBTQIA plus affairs. This office will have a budget of $87 million that will be allocated and broken down this way. Now, mind you, we're already going to have like 57 million, I think he said earlier, that is going to go towards all that other stuff, right? And to pretty much towards policing businesses to force them into supporting transgenders and the ridiculousness that comes along with it. Now he wants to take $87 million, of which 30 million of it will go towards housing programs, 20 million towards mental health services, 10 million for organizations serving transgender New Yorkers. So $10 million is going to go straight to these nonprofit pockets, as if we haven't already seen enough of that. More NGOs, non-governmental organizations. Another 10 million for administrative and coordination costs, 5 million for workforce investments, 4.7 million for new healthcare funding, and 5 million for new education funding. And then lastly, because he knows that he's going to get lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, they're planning to allocate $2 million for public defense and other legal system investments. What in the backwards, crazy Twilight Zone is going on right now? But as you can see, there's a lot of plans. There's a lot of money that he's planning on spending. Because guess what? It's so easy to spend other people's money. You know, my husband says that all the time. He's like, it's so easy to spend other people's money. It's so easy to spend money you haven't earned. You see, the problem with socialism is that we have all these little mini dictators who believe that all it takes is for them to be the new leader. Give me the old plan with this new leader and it'll work. That's real narcissism. And there's so many more of these platform items that are extremely scary, like the free childcare, free buses, tax increases that's supposed to be only on the wealthy. But guess what? The wealthy can do something that a lot of people can't, particularly right now, and that's relocate, which a lot of them are. So I suggest you go to his campaign website. I suggest you read up on him, particularly if you live in New York. You need to read up on what's coming. Because we are living in scary times, and I truly believe that there are difficult days ahead. But how did we get here? Because it certainly didn't start with this election. Well, we're going to explore that and this greater plot and what I believe is the root as to where all of this stems from. Right after the break. We're almost finished. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Janelle King Show. I'm Janelle King, and this is Extra 106.3. Don't leave the table.
Hello, everyone. My name is Suzanne Guy, and this is the Church's Moment. There is an incredible opportunity to start a distinct pro-life ministry at your church. We started one at our church about 5 years ago, and the fruit has been tangibly beautiful. We do monthly meetings that educate and equip the body of believers on sanctity of human life issues from womb to tomb by bringing in and featuring different pro-life leaders from all over Georgia, as well as featuring different ministries like post-abortion healing ministries or foster care ministries. There are so many great community partners out there. And then the second part of this pro-life ministry is having a care team. This is an opportunity to show moms in crisis, moms moms in unplanned, unwanted, or crisis pregnancies, that the church is the place to run to, that the church is a safe haven and a place to go for tangible help, real hope, true compassion, friendship, and discipleship, and yes, an opportunity to share the gospel in both word and deed. Brothers and sisters in Christ, will you consider starting a distinct pro-life ministry at your church? It's so easy. Please contact me today to find out how simple this is. You can contact me at my email, proverbs31:8@att.net. This is the church's moment.
Marco's Fiery Flavors menu is back. Sadly, we can't show you our fiery pepperoni pizza topped with a bold Carolina Reaper cheese blend and 2 kinds of pepperoni. But here's some sounds that'll give you the same fiery feeling. Fiery pizza. Fiery cheesy bread. Inferno bread. Sounds delicious, right? The Fiery Flavors menu is back at Marco's Pizza for a limited time. Get it while it's hot. Limited time only. Price of participation may vary. Taxes may apply. See store for details.
Buying a car shouldn't be a mystery. Hi, I'm Stacey Ellis, Vice President of the Jim Ellis Automotive Group. At Jim Ellis, we believe in complete transparency because you deserve to know exactly what you're getting. That's why we show you all the numbers, no hidden fees, no surprises. We explain every option clearly so you can make the right decision with confidence. And if you ever have questions, we have answers. Our team is here to guide you, making sure you're informed and in control every step of the way. At Jim Ellis Automotive, we don't want to sell you just any car. We want to help you buy the right car, because doing the right thing for you is what matters most to us. Experience car buying the way it should be. Honest, straightforward, and built around you. And don't forget, Jim Ellis buys cars too. It's the safe and easy way to get maximum value for your car. To get started, visit one of our 21 convenient locations across Metro Atlanta or shop online at jimellis.com. The quick, easy, and convenient way to search and compare more than 5,500 cars, trucks, and SUVs. Jim Ellis Automotive, where you can always expect the best.
Welcome back to the Janelle King Show. I'm Janelle King. This is Extra 106.3, and this is where we discuss kitchen table topics that are typically banned from family gatherings but are absolutely necessary in order to have a strong republic. And if you've missed the show, don't worry. There will be an encore episode right here on 106.3 FM on Sunday at 9 a.m. Or you can go wherever you get your podcast, search the Janelle King Show, and you can pull up the podcast. Now, today's table topic, we're talking about socialism according to Zohran Mamdani, because he is the new mini dictator that is now on site, who has been elected, who has all these plans of revitalizing socialism and communism, and somehow he thinks that it will work because it's under his leadership. But that's what they all think, because they're all little narcissists. But how did we get here? What happened? I believe, and I want to go to the deep root of things that I believe started this little snowball effect as to where we are. And I'm going to talk to my older millennials and my Gen Xers as parents. Because a lot of these kids that are now behaving like this, that are pushing socialism, are the product of our generation having children. So we have to consider the parental perspective of that many of us carry, which is that I want my child to have more than what I've had. And while I think that is well-intentioned, this mindset really creates a sense of entitlement. Because when you give your children everything that we didn't have, you risk you risk fostering a belief that they don't need to earn anything or have to attain anything on their own. That everything is supposed to be handed to them. And this leads to a culture of excess rather than hard work and perseverance. It's a gimme generation. It's like, all I want is all these things. This generation follows these little trends like it's no tomorrow. I mean, we have young people who are waking up and standing in line at 2, 3 in the morning to get a glass teddy bear cup from Starbucks. I mean, they just live in this world of excess. We have to address this influence that's on them, that's causing them to believe that that's the way the world is supposed to be. And a lot of it has to do with socialist teachers in our educational system. which is another issue, another root cause. It's the lack of historical references in our schools, which means that many of our young people are not taught about the dangers of socialism. Instead, they're taught to embrace it and to ignore the principles of the free market, which has driven prosperity in this country from the beginning of time. And then you have to incorporate social media, because social media plays a significant role in shaping perceptions. And it presents this unrealistic view of life, making it seem as though everyone else is living better than you are. And it creates this discontentment and this desire for the government to intervene and fix these perceived inequalities, which is really just the stages of life. And then there's another point that is really concerning, and there's this concerning trend of us not paying attention to local elections, because Zohran Mamdani, from my understanding, was an assemblyman. So now he has this significant role where he's shaping policy, but no one paid attention to him when he was a assemblyman. It's this pattern of electing individuals with these radical views, and it's happening all over the country because nobody is paying attention, and without voters fully realizing the implications. And then I think that there is one issue that I think is the number one culprit. And it's that glaring lack of solutions for present issues like healthcare, the cost of living. I get it. He's able to woo these people with these promises because the ball has been dropped. Because when you elect officials who neglect the needs of the people, they create an opening for leaders to push socialist agendas. And this neglect leads to policies that don't address the real problems that are facing our communities. So I think we're here because of a host of issues. But I think leading the pack is the frustration with our current system. We have way too many politicians who care more about their status, more about their speaking opportunities and their speaking costs and selling books than they do doing the will of the people. I believe elected officials believe that they are the government. Well, I have something for you. Our former president, James Garfield, said, "The people are the government, administering it by their agents, by those who we elect to represent us. They are the fount of all power." He said the people are the government, administering it by their agents, and we the people, hold all the power. The people. So let's take this responsibility seriously. Let's not continue to make these same mistakes. Do your research, know what you're voting for. Most importantly, know who you're voting for. Until next time, stay unafraid, stay unapologetic, and never stop seeking the truth.
Marco's Fiery Flavors menu is back. Sadly, we can't show you our fiery pepperoni pizza topped with a bold Carolina Reaper cheese blend and 2 kinds of pepperoni. But here's some sounds that'll give you the same fiery feeling. Fiery pizza. Fiery cheesy bread. Inferno bread. Sounds delicious, right? The Fiery Flavors menu is back at Marco's Pizza for a limited time. Get it while it's hot. Limited time only. Price of participation may vary. Taxes may apply. See store for details.
Buying a car shouldn't be a mystery. Hi, I'm Stacey Ellis, Vice President of the Jim Ellis Automotive Group. At Jim Ellis, we believe in complete transparency because you deserve to know exactly what you're getting. That's why we show you all the numbers, no hidden fees, no surprises. We explain every option clearly so you can make the right decision with confidence. And if you ever have questions, we have answers. Our team is here to guide you, making sure you're informed and in control every step of the way. At Jim Ellis Automotive, we don't want to sell you just any car. We want to help you buy the right car, because doing the right thing for you is what matters most to us. Experience car buying the way it should be. Honest, straightforward, and built around you. And don't forget, Jim Ellis buys cars too. It's the safe and easy way to get maximum value for your car. To get started, visit one of our 21 convenient locations across Metro Atlanta or shop online at jimellis.com. The quick, easy, and convenient way to search and compare more than 5,500 cars, trucks, and SUVs. Jim Ellis Automotive, where you can always expect the best.